Tier 1. diedinhouse.com. There's a chance that someone has died in your home before, but there is one service you could use to find out if. But before you hop on to find out, you might not want to know that lingering souls that could be living in your house. From murders and paranormal activity to people who decided that life was no longer worth living. But if you can't contain your curiosity and really want to find out what exactly happened in your house before you moved in, consider checking out diedinhouse.com. But I warned you, your house might not be as pretty as you think it is. Planecrash.com. Planecrash.com is a website that at first glance seems to be very normal. Collect information about recent plane crashes, the reason for the crash, and how many people did not survive. They even have a list of celebrities who died in plane crashes. But that is not what makes this site special. What makes this site different is their last words section. This section would consist of audio clips of the pilot's final moments. If you are someone sensitive, I recommend skipping the following. And if you don't believe me, judge for yourself. This person does not exist. Which of the following people do you think is real? There is only one who is real. The others are people who have never existed. This page generates hyper-realistic images of people that are not real, and all thanks to artificial intelligence. Every time you reload this page, you will see an image of a person that never existed. But what's the problem? Imagine you've been talking for months with a person you've met on a dating app. She is a charming, funny, and very attractive person. You have long conversations with this person, to the point of revealing your biggest secrets to them. You think she's the love of your life, but one day this person tells you that she has a big problem. She needs $50,000 to pay for a medical treatment, or else she'll die. To which you, without thinking much, offer them your help and give them the $50,000. Days and weeks go by and you have no news about this person. So you decide to call the hospital where they were going to do this supposed treatment, and to your surprise, there is no one with the description of your partner. You have fallen into the trap. All this time you had been talking to a person who never existed. You have lost the love of your life and $50,000. Tier 2. 50-50. Imagine you are eating. What would you prefer? To see an image of the best hamburger in your city, or see a picture of someone throwing up? For me, the answer is pretty simple. 50-50 is a subreddit that is well known for making use of this concept. Like if you flip a coin, on one side you can see a cute image, and on the other, an image you'll never want to see again in your life. Here, you will find everything, from a delicious ice cream to people who have lost some part of their body. Will you try your luck? Encyclopediadramatica.com. Encyclopedia Dramatica is a Wikipedia created in 2004 by Sherrod DeGrippo. Its original purpose was to document internet dramas and forum culture such as 4chan. But over time, it became a place infested with black humor and extreme misinformation. In terms of content, you can find articles about Jimmy Carter, Elon Musk, or even exclusive articles about terrorist gangs. However, what is striking about this site is how it's written. Full of insults, absurd references, and an extremely offensive tone. One of the darkest aspects is how it exposes people's private information. And all of this with a single objective: humiliation. Joyofsatan.com. Joy of Satan is a website created in the early 2000s that promotes Satanism as the only religion. This website claims that Satan is not an evil figure, but an ancient god punished by Christianity. Satanism would be the original religion of mankind before Christianity corrupted it. For its followers, hell is not a place of punishment, but a spiritual realm where Satan and his followers exist. One of the most controversial aspects of Joy of Satan is its strong link with neo-Nazi and supremacist ideologies. In its content, we find theories of all kinds. From that the Jews created Christianity to end the world, even though the original gods were extraterrestrials, but it doesn't end here. They also include a manual for rituals, or even documents you'd rather not see. Tier 3. Pimeyes.com. The internet has changed the way we see each other. Before, we could walk among thousands of people without leaving a trace. Now, a simple photo can reveal our darkest secrets. Pimeyes.com is a face search engine based on artificial intelligence. You upload a photo, and in seconds it shows you where on the internet that image has appeared. But it's not the technology that's disturbing, it's what it can do with it. Imagine this. You're in a cafe, taking a break. A stranger looks at you, pulls out his phone, and without you noticing takes a picture of you. And in just a few seconds, he has access to everything you ever uploaded to the internet. Your Facebook account, old photos from when you were in school, your LinkedIn profile, with your full name and where you work. Now, that person knows who you are, where you live, what you do every day. All thanks to a simple photo. And the worst thing is that you can't help it. The internet promised us freedom, but nobody told us about the dangers it brings. Because, think for a second, what could the wrong person do with all this information? Zombo.com. Some websites are like whispers in the dark, never changing, never fading, yet always there. They don't need updates, they don't need purpose, because something is keeping them alive. And one of them is a website called Zombo.com, a website that defies logic. And all of this, thanks to our dear friend, endless repetition. At first, everything seems normal. A simple web page with bright colors and a swirling animation. But what makes this site truly disturbing is not what it does, it's what it doesn't. There are no buttons to click, no way to interact. Just a voice that welcomes you, over and over again. And if you think this is just harmless nonsense, let's look at the ones who stay too long. People who swear something feels off. Visitors who describe a sense of unease, a presence. Think about it. How long would you stay on a website that does nothing? Yet for over 2 decades, Zombo.com has remained. No updates, no changes. And without knowing why, people keep coming back. Something they would end up regretting, because after a while, that voice stops feeling like it's just a recording.
Welcome to Zombocom. This is Zombocom. Welcome.
It starts to feel like it's speaking to you. And everyone came to the same conclusion. It was never just a joke. It was waiting. Temple OS. In the world of the internet, some stories defy logic. Stories that seem like something out of a science fiction novel, but are as real as you and me. This is one of them. Terry A. Davis, the creator of Temple OS, was no ordinary programmer. He was a genius. His computer skills were well above average, but there was something else, something disturbing. He claimed that God spoke to him directly, not in metaphors or subtle signals. God was giving him instructions. And what was God asking Terry to do? To build the temple of God in the digital age, but not with bricks and mortar, with code.
Hi, I'm Terry Davis. I'm the smartest programmer that's ever lived. I was chosen by God to make his temple.
Temple OS wasn't just a system, it was an altar. You could press a key and get a random message from God, or let the computer make a God doodle, randomly generated drawings as if they were divine revelations. Everything had a purpose, or so Davis believed, for as his code became more complex, his mind descended into chaos.
The punishment for this generation is no thrills. Your parents have cut off your balls, okay? Your parents, all energy comes from God, okay? All thought comes from God. You little arrogant fool. Now you're going to be locked in hell in blackness.
The schizophrenia progressed, and his sacred message began to become confused. meaningless, and even violent. Temple OS was now complete. Davis began posting on technology forums. At first, he was seen as an eccentric, even funny person. But over time, his words became aggressive, his behavior unpredictable, and his speeches incoherent.
Doctors, why don't you study an ant colony, you retards?
In 2018, his journey came to its tragic end. Terry Davis, homeless and all alone, was run over by a car in a train accident. Temple OS still exists as a relic of the darkest internet, a system made by one man, a code that defies all logic, a work he believed he had written under divine mandate. The question is, was it really the vision of a prophet, or simply the delusions of a mind trapped in madness? Project December. The idea of being able to talk to the dead has been around for centuries, but in 2020, a website called projectdecember.net took it to a whole new level. A level that didn't differentiate between life and death. And all of this thanks to our dear friend, artificial intelligence. At first, everything seems normal. A simple website allows users to have conversations with chatbots. But what makes this site truly disturbing is its ability to recreate real people. From being able to talk to people with celebrities, even being able to maintain a conversation with people, even deceased. And if you think this is not real, let's look at the case of Joshua Barbeau. Joshua Barbeau was a Canadian writer who could not get over the loss of his fiancée. Jessica had passed away months earlier due to kidney disease. Joshua, seeking comfort, wanted to find a way to talk to his fiancée again. Think about it, who wouldn't want to talk to the person you love the most? So one day, while browsing, he found projectdecember.net. And without thinking too much about it, he decided to try his luck. Something he would end up regretting. Joshua stated that the chatbot started talking to him in a very special way. It was too similar to how his girlfriend talked to him. Same emotions, same messages, everything was the same. Joshua would start sharing the story on a Reddit forum, and everyone came to the same conclusion. It was too good to be real. Gripped with fear, Joshua decided he didn't have to go through with it, and decided to close his conversation with his deceased wife, leaving us with a small reflection. Some things are too good to be true, and being able to talk to the deceased is one of them. Tier 4. Heaven's Gate. On the internet, you can find all kinds of sites. Some you may find amusing, others, however, are disturbing. But there is one that not only marked the history of the internet, but also the fate of 39 people. This is the story of Heaven's Gate. At first glance, the website is not an ordinary place. Big letters, bright colors, and a very particular design. But the important thing is not what it looks like, but what it says. The message is clear. The door to heaven is still open. But for whom? Heaven's Gate was a religious sect founded in 1974 by Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. They advocated that the earth was a cursed place and that there was a gateway to heaven through UFOs.
Planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to evacuate is to leave with us. Planet Earth about to be recycled.
But the price you had to pay was not about money. It was about your own life. With this dream, in 1997, 39 people made a decision that had no turning back. It was a moment they had waited decades for. Applewhite told them that the spacecraft that would take them to heaven was behind the Hale-Bopp comet. But there was a problem. They had to leave their physical body. At this point, most had no doubts. They believed that death was not the end, but merely a transition. So, convinced that they were going to a new level of existence, they accepted without fear. One by one, following a carefully planned ritual, they left this world, dressed in the uniform that symbolized their journey. with money in their pockets to pay the fare, with the certainty that they were about to ascend. 39 people in all, 39 souls who fell into the trap, 39 people who will never see the light of day again. But the story did not end there. His website never disappeared. Despite the years, it is still active, intact, as if it was still waiting for someone, as if his message had not expired. The most disturbing thing is that it's not just an old file on the net. The website still has contact emails. Someone is keeping it alive. Someone is still making sure the door doesn't close. Maybe it's just an echo of a group that no longer exists. Or maybe it's something else. Because even though they're gone, their message is still there. The question is it really an invitation to a better life, or simply a trap disguised as salvation? Rotten.com. If you lived in the 90s, you probably remember the following site. The motto of this site was simple: when hell is full, the dead will walk the earth. But in reality, it went much further. Before the internet, finding obscure content was almost an impossible task. But Rotten.com would be the solution for all those who were looking for this. From videos of the worst accidents you can imagine, to people who decided that life was no longer worth living. And all this without much effort. What made Rotten.com stand out was that it would never reveal what kind of content you were going to see. There were no comment sections or warnings to prepare you. You clicked on a link, waited for it to load, and prepared yourself for whatever popped up on your monitor. This lack of context caused something that you were entirely responsible for: your curiosity. And for many, the consequences would be immediate. Everything that nobody normally wants to see, there it was, with no warning or filters. Its creators argued that people deserve to see the harsh reality of life, that the real world wasn't pretty, and that someone had to document it. Rotten.com became the main place for all those who were looking for the darkest things on the internet. Some visited out of curiosity, others out of defiance. But no one stayed the same. Rentahitman.com. Throughout our lives, we all meet bad people, at school, at work, or even in our family, to the point that you would pay for them to disappear from your life, whatever it takes. With this premise, Rentahitman.com was born. It all started as a simple university project, a domain registered for fun. But as time went by, something disturbing started to happen. Real people started requesting the services, people who were desperate, people who didn't think it was a joke. They sent names, addresses, specific details about who they wanted to eliminate, and how. What they didn't know, they were digging their own grave. Because Rentahitman.com is not a clandestine website. It wasn't part of the dark web. It was a trap. The site's creator, Bob Innes, turned it into bait to trap people with criminal intent. Every form submitted is analyzed. Every application is reviewed. And if someone is really looking to hire a hitman, the police are notified. Thanks to this site, dozens of people have been arrested. Some wanted to get rid of ex-partners. Others even wanted to eliminate members of their own family. But instead of a hitman, what they found was a police car at their door. Rentahitman.com is proof that when desperation and stupidity combine, people are willing to believe anything. So the next time you're surfing the deep internet, remember, not everything is what it seems. And if you think you can get away with it, someone might be waiting on the other side of the screen. Tier 5. Autopsyfiles.org. Imagine a website that forces you to look death in the face, without filters or warnings, and all of this with just 2 clicks. Welcome to Autopsyfiles.org, a digital graveyard where the dead have a great opportunity: make money. This site has over 4,000 autopsy reports, ranging from high-profile celebrities to people like you and me. Most of these reports are accompanied by graphic details of the crime scene and the cause of their death. Victims of shootings, drug overdoses, suicide, and accidents. Everything is cataloged as if it were a museum exhibit. With one click, you can view the autopsy report of beauty pageant queen JonBenét Ramsey and the terrible causes of her death. JonBenét was a young beauty pageant star who turned up in the basement of her family's home in 1996. Another click shows the autopsy report of NBA legend Kobe Bryant, including the tragic details of his tragic helicopter crash. The way this website reduces human tragedy to a bottomless wallet is what makes it so horrifying. No context, no empathy, just a digital morgue. On this website, you'll find ads that turn tragedy into a source of revenue. And all of this to remind you of something. Even dead, people are going to try to profit from you. Autopsyfile.org tells us a bitter truth. Even death is no longer private. Proceed with caution. You have been warned. DocumentingReality.com. The internet is a vast place, a space where the strange and the obscure live side by side. But there are sites that seek not only to inform, but to disturb. Among those dark corners, there is a page that looks like a warning. A portal where death and torment are the only destination. This is the story of DocumentingReality.com. Here you will find images you would never wish to have seen. From videos of real deaths, to images of the worst crime scenes, to images that don't need much explanation. It's raw, uncensored, and deeply disturbing, often leaving visitors with an uneasy feeling long after they close the tab. What makes death and hell especially disturbing is its lack of context or commentary. It simply presents death in its cruelest form. For some, this may bring a dark curiosity. For others, a stark reality check about how fragile life can be. This site is divided into several categories, each more heartbreaking than the last. Documenting Reality spares no detail, making it one of the most extreme sites still in existence. The motivations behind this site are unclear, but one thing is certain. Death is a sad example of how the internet can show us the darkest aspects of people. DeathHell.com. The internet is a reflection of the human mind. There is light, there is darkness, and then there are places that look like something out of a nightmare. A name like that doesn't leave much to the imagination. It's not just a blog. It's not just any page. It's a portal that promises to show you the most disturbing side of people, without censorship, without filters, and without compassion. When you enter, you are greeted by a chaotic design, with disturbing images and text that seem to be taken from the mind of someone obsessed with violence and suffering. There are no introductions, no explanations, just death and despair. But what is this page really about? Over the years, deathandhell.com has been a digital storehouse of the worst of humanity. Videos of executions, fatal accidents, images of decomposing bodies, crime scenes, and all kinds of content that most people would rather never see. But here, in this corner of the web, it's all displayed with brutal indifference. What's most disturbing is not just the content, but the people who visit. Some enter out of morbid curiosity, others out of fascination, and a few for a darker reason. But there's something more sinister about this website. It wasn't just limited to showing images and videos. In its depths, it was said to hide links to even darker forums, places where topics that crossed the line between fiction and reality were discussed. Some claim that deathandhell.com was not just a website, but a gateway to communities where violence and death were not just entertainment, but something much more real. Judge yourself.